new poll shows that more Canadians than ever before are vaccine hesitant, with more parents being really against vaccinating their kids. Let's break this down. 17% of parents are really against vaccinating their kids, which is 4 times higher than before COVID. But 75% of Canadians think that opposing childhood vaccination is irresponsible. And 67% of people said they would vaccinate their child without any hesitation. And while 67% still is good, when you look at the drop-off from 88% to 67%, it's a little concerning, with there being an equal amount of people who are unsure as people who are saying they would not vaccinate their kids. What's interesting to note is that of the people who say that vaccine should be a parent's choice, 49% of them would still vaccinate their child without any hesitation. And even if vaccine hesitancy is up, the amount of Canadians who believe that not vaccinating children is irresponsible has remained pretty steady since 2015. So it seems as though in a lot of Canadians' minds there's a difference between some vaccinations and all vaccinations, as the ones that traditionally would have been given to kids in the past still seem to have a lot of support. And when we look at who is more anti-vax, it is specifically millennial men, with in general men under the age of 54 being significantly more vaccine hesitant than the rest of the Canadian population, with even men who are 55 plus being less vaccine hesitant than women who are in the younger age categories. And yeah, talk to anybody who's in their 60s and ask them about polio. My mom literally knew people who died of polio, who got polio and were bedridden their entire lives. Because we've had vaccines for so long and because they are so effective, many people are not dying from things that they used to die of just 5-6 decades ago. So now people feel as though vaccines aren't as important because they aren't seeing the impact that the vaccines have because we are all safe because of the vaccines. There also seems to be a direct correlation between the uptick in people who are vaccine hesitant as well as an uptick in the people who are voting for the Conservatives. I'll show you that in a minute. Because the vast majority of Canadians who are vaccine hesitant or skeptical are Conservative voters. This becomes more stark when you look at the data about people who believe that vaccines are not very or not at all effective at reducing the chances of catching the diseases for the community as a whole, with those numbers being drastically higher for men between the ages of 18 and 54, with a huge spike from pre-COVID. What's interesting is that the amount of people who say that the science on vaccines isn't clear is stable from 2019. But what has gone up is the amount of people who think that there's a real risk of side effects from the vaccines, which means that Canadians still believe in science. It's just that they're being misled. This isn't an issue of science skepticism, but more of an issue of science literacy. Although when looking at these numbers, I don't know if it's actually a problem with literacy or more so a problem with the fact that people were locked up for 2 years and they are very angry about that. And vaccine hesitancy is just one of the ways that this is manifested. What's also interesting to note is that the more vaccine hesitant you are, the more afraid you are of bringing up the topic of vaccines with friends and family. Probably because, as I said, it's most likely not an issue of science literacy or science skepticism, but the fact that people are angry and they want to be selfish and they know that they're wrong scientifically, and so they don't want to talk about it. Overall, I don't really think this data is that concerning. I think it shows trends that we can very logically justify with what happened in our society over the last 4 years. It shows that most people are still in favor of vaccinating children and understand that it's necessary to keep them safe. And it shows that even people who think that vaccine should be the choice of the parent, for the most part, would still vaccinate their children. And it also shows, predictably, that one party more than the others is attracting those who are vaccine hesitant. But what do you guys think? If you stuck around for a 3-minute video, you must have some opinions. Leave them in the comments down below and hit the follow button if you want to stay up to date on stuff like this.